Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me as always, PGA Tour champion, Andrew Novak.
Yo, what's good? We've got a big one this week. Y'all are gonna really enjoy this. It's preseason. We got a lot of stuff in this one, but we got a special guest this week.
Please get on YouTube, like and subscribe at Screenplay_podcast. We are really trying to get the numbers up on YouTube, so get on there, give us some love, check it out. We are on socials at Screenplay_podcast, and you can also check out our website, thescreenplaypodcast.com. On there, you can find our picks of the week, guest list, merch, and more. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. We are also running our annual Survivor Pool. It's our way of having you play along with us all season long. It's going to be a $0 entry fee, free to enter, $250 cash to the winner. The sign-up link is on our Instagram in the bio, or you can go on our website, thescreenplaypodcast.com. Pick one team each week. If you're correct, you move on. If not, you're out. There are no revives. Last year, we crowned a champion week 14. Again, $0 entry fee, $250 cash to the winner. Sign-up link is on Instagram or on our website. This is our AFC North and AFC South preview episode. And to help us kick it off, we have Cleveland Browns fan and PGA Tour Caddie. This is the Caddie for Screenplay Podcast host Andrew Novak. Welcome, Jeff Hamley. Jeff, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's nice to be with you guys. Unfortunately, we're not working in St. Louis, but, at the end of the day, we had... I've been a big fan of the Screenplay Podcast since the beginning. Definitely, hopefully, I'm probably responsible for 40% of your likes. So I figure let's get in this show and break down the Cleveland Browns and how this is going to be our year.
Yeah, season 4 finally got the Caddie on. Going to get some Browns talking. We're going to start with a little golf talk first. First, I wanted to ask you. We all know players. They play practice rounds. They get there. They do their thing. What does your week look like prior to a tournament without your player even being there? When do you get to a tournament? What's your process? What do you go through on a tournament week?
Well, having done this is year number 8. We got a nice little rhythm going. And fortunately, Andrew likes his routines as well. So as you guys have your I'm sure you film at the same time every week, the podcast is down. I know Andrew's going to want to start around Tuesday morning at 7:30 in the morning. I guarantee you we're going to be on the range Tuesday at 7:30. So I have Monday to get done what I need to get done. He may get there Monday afternoon, do a little chipping and putting. But if it's a course we haven't seen before, normally we travel Sunday night. A lot of people think, hey, tournament's over. You're going to go home for a few days, like show up Thursday. No, we go from city to city to city. It is nonstop. There's no time to go home. And we go to the next event, especially if it's a course we haven't played before. So we're traveling Sunday night quite a bit, at the course Monday morning, and really getting a good idea of what our strategy is going to be. Because when Andrew gets to the course on Tuesday, he's going to want to know, hey, where's our, kind of what's our game plan look like? And my job is to have some answers for him.
Out of all the courses on tour, which one do you think is the hardest to caddy at?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say I know the easiest, and I'm going to say the easiest is Torrey Pines.
Sure, give me the easiest and the hardest. What is it?
The easiest is Torrey Pines, and here's why. Because it's so stinking hard. There's only one play. You hit it down the middle of the fairway or you lay up. There's literally nothing you can do. So when there's fewer options, the course becomes easier to caddy and harder to play. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 there. Hardest course to caddy at? Augusta was a pretty good test for us this year. Mainly because there are a lot of the playable space at that course is much more vast than most others. You're able to take on a few different shots and angles where other courses just don't have that. They're a lot more straightforward. So I'm going to say Augusta is the hardest. Also, I mean, they're the fanfare
and they give you less info at Augusta. You got to do a lot more homework there versus like a regular tour stop.
Yeah, that was, I've heard rumblings of that, but that was the first time I saw that. So like in the yardage book the tour presents to us, there's all sorts of details and numbers, and it makes our job a lot easier than the old timers would say they had it. But Augusta, they are very fond of tradition, and you got to know your stuff. So Augusta wins the hardest, and but it's a great challenge, and I hope to have that again every year.
So all the caddies at Augusta, they wear the classic all-white bibs. The question I have for you is, do you get to keep those bibs, or are you guys giving them back to Augusta when the week's over?
Keep the bibs.
Awesome.
They barely let me keep an egg salad sandwich.
Oh, they don't let you keep it?
No, you can't. Brother, no, what? No, Augusta is, they have their set of, I'm afraid to even air this interview talking about that, but no, there's nothing you don't walk away with anything there. They did treat us great. I have nothing but good things to say about that organization, but no, I did like wearing it, the jumpsuit. I did enjoy wearing it. I thought it was really neat. That was probably the first time I felt like caddying was a brotherhood at that event. I would say every other week it's much more competitive, but I feel like the caddies in the caddy shack, that only players and caddies are allowed. And Andrew had lunch with me in there one day. There's nobody else allowed in there, and they will ask you to leave. They ask the coach to leave. So it is kind of unique how it's just us. There's a keg of beer in there. After every round, the guys are having a cold one, telling war stories. That's a fun week. So, but no, you don't get to keep anything. No.
All right. So majors aside, what is your favorite event to caddy at?
Majors aside, I'm going to take something that maybe a lot of guys say John Deere. I like Harbor Town a lot.
Okay.
I think Harbor Town's got to be up there. One, because it's a beautiful course, but it's so easy to caddy. I mean, like easy to caddy in the sense of like it's as flat as can be. I stay at a friend's house down the street. I rented a bike this week and rode it to work every day. I mean, how often you get to ride your bike to work? That was really neat. So I'm saying Harbor Town is number one, and great fans too. Great event for the fans, underrated in many ways. So Harbor Town, sneaky, a pro play in many ways.
All right, so I'm gonna jump in. We're gonna get in life lessons here. What has been a bigger life lesson for you in futility? Being a Browns football fan or caddying for Team Novak at the American Express?
Well, this year was probably the most close to being a Browns fan.
For our listeners, Andrew's record at American Express is not the greatest record.
For 5? 0 for 5, I think.
Yeah, I think you skipped it. No,
or did I skip it one year?
Once. I think 0 for 4. Yeah,
0 for 4?
Okay. Same percentage made cut. So, so this year though, we missed the cut by 1. That was the first time I think we missed by 1.
It was the first time I was remotely competitive there, I think.
So that was probably that was a nice change of pace because the Browns are never really one game from making the playoffs. So I'm taking American Express, even though there are a lot of similarities there. That's a great question because normally after the first round, which we'll say is a quarter of the season, we're out of it. So we're normally out of it at the same time every year. So great comparison, but I think Andrew has a better chance to win the American Express than the Browns do the Super Bowl. That's my final answer.
All right, last golf question here, and then we'll get into some more Browns talk.
I got one more after.
You got another one? Okay.
Yeah,
so over the past couple months, this is kind of an off-season thing. The NFL loves to put out rankings. We're ranking top quarterbacks. We're ranking teams. We're ranking coaches. Give me a top 3 ranking. No one talks about this. Top 3 caddies on the PGA Tour. Who are the top 3 guys out there? I have an idea of someone you might say, but I really don't know who the top guys are out there.
So Ted Scott is certainly going to be at or near the top of the list.
Yes.
Yes, he works for Scotty. Yes, Scotty's the best player in the world. But Ted has cut his teeth for years before he got Scotty Scheffler's bag. And working for Bubba Watson, it was extremely challenging. And Ted did fantastic there. So Ted's going to be number 1. Number 2, this is all this, I'm going to give a nod to my boy, Senior Joe LaCava. I have to give Senior Joe a nod. He's been out there for 40 years. Now he's seen a different side of it. He's had Tiger, Cantlay, Freddie Couples, but the longevity that Joe's had and the respect he has amongst the peers, Joe's number 2.
Okay.
And number 3, I'm going to give it number 3 because I love this guy. Andrew probably knows what I'm going to say. Nobody else is going to mention this guy, but I give him credit where credit is due. I'm a little bit of gaslighting him, but I do think he's so much better than people think. And that's Mark Cairns. Okay. He works for JJ Spawn. Okay. He won the Players with Siwoo Kim. I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. I said, no, it's just not happening. So we were paired with Siwoo. I said, Siwoo, who was your caddy when you won the Players? He said, Mark Cairns. I said, no way. There's no way that's true, but it is. And then he goes and wins the U.S. Open with JJ Spawn and Oakmont. And time again, Mark, he is a very unique character, but he's really good caddy. And it just shows you there's a lot of ways to do this job. So I'm going Ted, Joe, Mark, 1, 2, 3. There's the ranking.
I love it.
So I'm actually going to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit. So you just talked about Ted Scott and coming from Bubba Watson. So what, if you were to compare yourself over to an NFL coach as your caddy style, who would you go with? I'll give an example of Ted Scott.
Okay.
Ted Scott obviously has lucked into Scotty Scheffler. He earned it, but lucked into Scotty Scheffler. It's kind of like Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes falling into his hands after, doing it with a very
I like it.
with a lefty that was maybe up and down like a Mike Vick in his career. Same with Ted Scott and Bubba Watson. So where would you go with that?
Okay, I got one that comes to mind, and there's some similarities here. I don't know if I'm going to go John Harbaugh. Okay.
Oh boy,
John Harbaugh. And here's why.
I'll take that.
1, he's from Ohio, so obviously he's going to be. I don't know if he's a Browns fan, but he is from Ohio.
You didn't want Matt Nagy?
No, shoot. No, he very unsuccessful.
No, you don't.
Can't be in on Matt. Matt went to the same high school as my wife, so that's why Andrew's bringing that up. But so Harbaugh started at the bottom. Okay, check. He started in the MAC. Love the MAC. That's awesome. We started on the Korn Ferry Tour, grinded our way up there, and then Harbaugh had the longevity. Harbaugh was with the Ravens for 16, 17 years. And Andrew and I have been working at it for 8 years now. So you don't see a lot of coaches are flip-flopping every year. So off the longevity alone, but I like his leadership style. And here's why. He lets his coordinators call the plays. And as I'm going to get into, that has been a major issue for the Browns for years. You need to have good coordinators. And Andrew he's the one on the field. He's the one that knows what's going on. The coordinators know what's going on intimately. Andrew has to have a lot of say into what shots we're going to play and how he's feeling and what he thinks can happen. And then as a coach or caddy, you have to support that player. More times than not, he knows what he's talking about. But if he doesn't, or if there's a crucial decision, you step in. And Harbaugh steps in when it's a 4th down call or a timeout, crucial late in the game. That's when a head coach, I think, shines the most. When they trust their players and they execute in critical decision-making situations. Harbaugh's the answer.
Fantastic.
All right, let's get into the question we all want the answer to. You're a Cleveland Browns fan. It's really the only big quarterback battle going on right now. Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, we saw them both in week 1 of preseason. Who do you think should be the week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I had a hint you were going to ask me that. And I'm afraid if we give the answer away right now, we might lose some listeners. So I'm going to drag this on for just a little bit, okay? And I want to ask you guys a question, okay? Deshaun Watson, okay? Let's go down this road for me real quick. Do you know where he ranks all-time QBR? Can I get a guess as to where he ranks all-time in the QBR? Not what his QBR is, but where he ranks on the list. And let me give you a hint. Matt Stafford is number 26 all time. Okay. Defending QB Super Bowl champion. Tom Brady's number 10 all time. Okay. You can see where I'm going with this. Where is Deshaun Watson ranked all time?
I mean, he had a few good years in Houston where he was.
He had more than a few. The issue, like, he's been so bad when he's played, but he's played so little since he's come back and been hurt. I don't think it would have tanked his numbers that poorly. I bet he is like still way up there because
it's got to be top 100.
Good. He was very good in Houston, but he was also crazy efficient in Houston because he had prime DeAndre Hopkins on his team. He's going to be high. Yeah. Like I could see him top 10 still. Like,
oh, that's high. I was going to say like he's 30 to 50.
Because you got to think about it. He had DeAndre Hopkins, and then he had Will Fuller like for 4 games a year, who would go crazy with efficiency numbers. He was very efficient in Houston. I'm betting he's higher than we think.
I'm telling you, I was kind of alluding to it as I was getting into that with some of the examples. But Evan, you got a number? Give me a number. Let's go.
I'm gonna go 50, just straight even 50.
Andrew,
let me go like 8. I'm gonna trust my analysis on this.
Number 6.
What?
He has the 6th highest QBR all time.
He was crazy efficient in Houston. Like, that is a thing.
98.8. He's ahead of Drew Brees, 98.7. Now, let's take a step back, though. Shedeur Sanders, okay, his QBR last year, 68.1. Very poor. Very poor. Now, he only played in a few games, 7 touchdowns, 10 picks. You know, that's pretty low. I think that's the 188th all-time QBR is where he'd be ranked. However, let's look at other rookie quarterbacks and what their QBR was. And I'm not going to tease you. Matt Stafford, he had a 61 QBR his rookie year. Eli Manning, 55.4. So, Shedeur Sanders having a terrible QBR his rookie year does not indicate he will continue to be that bad of a quarterback. That said, give me Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Okay. Does it have anything to do with his contract or just straight on QBR?
So this is the last year of his contract. So it is a contract year. So I do want him to play. But here's another fun fact for you. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, 42 years old. Okay. Do you know how old Burrow and Burrow and Lamar are? They're the same age. Do you know how old Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are?
I want to say 29.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
They both turned 30 this season. Do you know how old Deshaun Watson is?
31.
No,
he's 30.
He's the same age, yeah.
Wow.
He's 30.
Wow.
He does turn 31 this season.
Burrow beat Lawrence in the Natty, but Watson left after 3 years, and Burrow was there, I think, 4 or 5 because he transferred.
So really, he's the same. I mean, when I think of Deshaun Watson, I'm thinking he's 35, 36.
Right.
Twilight of his career, injured. He's 30 years old. That's a prime age. Burrow's 29, Lamar's 29, and Rodgers is 42. So age aside, Deshaun, he should have the ability to get back to a very high playing level. And at his peak, he's the 6th best quarterback ever. You have to rely on that. Now, I have another issue that if I can keep going, I got another issue. If I may.
Keep it going.
Here's the problem with the Browns. So we have a new head coach, Todd Monken, okay? So far, I'm letting him hearing so good. He called all the plays in Baltimore as the OC for Harbaugh.
Right.
He's going to continue to call the plays in Cleveland, which I hate. I hate when the head coach worries about the plays. Here's the problem, though. We have 2 coordinators in Cleveland. Our offensive and defensive coordinator have never been coordinators before. Ever. Not in college, not in the pros. Rutenberg on defense and Switzer on offense. This is both of their first times being head coordinators on their team. They've been like assistants and some passing game coordinators, and they've had good jobs. But Monken, new coach, with 2 coordinators who you can't rely on to call the plays because they've never been offensive or defensive. They've never been the top guy seeing two rookies in those two huge roles, I think coaching is going to be a problem for the Browns. I really do. I think if you get into some situations late in games that are close, I'm going to take the Browns and coaching staff as the probably a factor that costs them games, close ones, the one-score games where you need to win to be, 10-7 instead of 9-8 or 8-9, and ultimately a winning season in a playoff berth versus, home early. So, coordinator fact, there you go.
Yeah, Switzer was the Ravens run game coordinator, so he basically just brought his buddy over to Cleveland with him.
Mhm.
So first time being an OC there. Okay, so you want Deshaun Watson starting this season. My question is, let's move on to next season, 2027. Do you think the QB1 for the Cleveland Browns next season is currently on the roster?
Oh, that's a great question. I need a magic 8-ball for that one. I'm going to say no. Okay, I'm going to say no because I could see Gabriel or Shador getting traded. I think Deshaun will probably leave after this year. He'll be done. It probably won't work out. I want him to start. I want him to do great. Is he going to? No, this isn't going to work. The Browns, it never works. I mean, whatever we come up with today isn't going to work. So it doesn't matter what we say. It's not going to work. They're the Browns. So I think I've heard rumors that Baker's in play. I've heard rumors that Baker's in play. I've heard rumors that they're going to, tank and try to get a top pick. So I'm going to say the Browns are going to do terrible and have a new quarterback next year.
So speaking of this kind of quarterback carousel for the Browns, it's, been 25, 30 years, whatever. Which of the quarterbacks in the last, 25 years or so that have just been cycled through, which one did you want to work out the most?
Yeah, it's Baker without a doubt. I mean, so I've been a fan. I've been watching football for at least 30 years. Okay, 30 years. I'd be 10. I watched my father. He was a big Browns fan. He gave me the choice. I was born in Cleveland, so he gave me the choice. Jeff, you can root for the Browns and live a life of football misery, or you can pick somebody else. It's up to you. And I said, give me the family name. Give me the Browns. I'm in. Anyways, a few years ago, when the Browns made the playoffs and they went to Pittsburgh, and it was Ben Roethlisberger's last game, that was the first Browns game that I ever remember watching a playoff game. I know they made the playoffs. I think it was with Derek Anderson. I know he was a Carolina Panther too, so you know him. And maybe Kelly Holcomb. I think the Anderson Holcomb era. I think there might have been a playoff berth and a loss in there too, like a devastating loss. I think they lost like just a total heartbreaker. But when Baker took out Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh for Ben's last game, that was the best football game I've ever seen. And Baker would have a statue in front of the stadium if he just stayed, and they could have made it work. I don't blame Baker. I blame the front office, but Baker was the guy. I do have a Johnny Manziel jersey that I do wear that once in a while. So, yeah, I think everyone's going to work out, but Baker's the one I wanted to.
I do think Cleveland did Baker wrong a little bit. I thought he did good things for them. He played through injuries, got them to the playoffs. Like, I thought he could have kept going there for a while.
Yeah, you beat Pittsburgh in a playoff game. I mean, that's all we can ask for. I mean, that's literally the pinnacle of the Browns season.
All right, so one of the big stories this offseason, blockbuster trade. Myles Garrett was a Cleveland Brown. He gets traded to the Los Angeles Rams. In return, they get Jared Verse, good young player. They get a 2027 first, a 2028 second, and a 2029 third. As a Cleveland Browns fan, did you like this trade? Does the Cleveland community like this trade?
Yeah, I think I speak for myself, but I do think that everyone understands it had to happen. We get it. I get it. It sucks. It really sucks. It had to happen, but you're going to lose Myles Garrett. And, if Verse is as good as they say is, plus the capital, I get it. I mean, when we lost LeBron the first time to the Heat, we got nothing back for him. Like, you can't let your star player walk and get nothing back. So I thought they might get a little bit more. Honestly, I think Myles Garrett is obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, unanimous. I mean, he's amazing. I thought they would get 2 first rounds for it, but
if you count verse, it was almost 2 first plus a couple picks.
Yeah,
if you see it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. We have some, I have some concerns in some other spots of the field, for the Browns, but defense is certainly I don't know much about the defense. I don't have any stats for you on that, so they always struggle, but there's not as much the offense. So I mean, the offense right now is it's sexy, it looks good. We have rookies that are coming in making plays. We have some second year players that are excited about. I mean, the offense is what people want to watch and talk about.
So you're kind of known as a fantasy football guy around the tour. Everybody kind of recognizes that. You're known as kind of a ball knower around the thing. You've been doing the fantasy thing for a while. Do you remember your first draft pick ever back in the day and when it was?
I swear to God, I do. That's really funny you asked that, because I was talking about this the other day. My first pick ever was we started fantasy football when I was in 6th grade. So that would have been 1998. 1998 was my first fantasy year, and my first pick ever was Dan Marino. And I think that might have been his last year, and he was not a first overall fantasy football pick, but I didn't understand the full concept of like value, and I didn't, and ADP. I mean, I had no idea. Our commissioner, his name was Adam Dolak. We had to do the stats from the newspaper the next day. We would get the newspaper out. You guys are too young for this. I think you are. They're box scores in the newspaper.
Oh yeah.
And if you had a West Coast game, you had to wait the next day. We did not know who won matchups for 2 days because they wouldn't print the box score for the West Coast game because the newspaper already ran. So you couldn't, you'd have to have your guys play 1 or 4 o'clock games if you want to know their stats. And I remember I drafted a tight end. I want to say Ben Coates from the Patriots. He was one of my top picks too. Then I had a couple Browns, but Dan Marino was absolutely my first pick. And I think that was his last year. I want to say 97, 98. It had to be right around there. You might have to fact check me on that, but but Favre was a big pick. I remember someone loved Favre back then. I mean, fantasy football looks a lot better now. The box scores were fun, but I'd rather have a live, up-to-date red zone. I want to know where we stand.
All right, last question here. This year for the Cleveland Browns, what would make you happy? What's like the expectation line? Give me a record for the Cleveland Browns. If they win this record, I would be satisfied.
Okay. I would be satisfied if the Browns can go 10-7 and make the playoffs. I would be just thrilled. I mean, that would be a major win. I'm hearing a lot of people say the Browns could be the sleeper team of the AFC. Maybe they surprise me even more, but realistically, the Browns are a 5-win football team. They're a 5-win team, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing. I hope I'm wrong. I'm allowed to dream for the next 3 weeks. It's the best 3 weeks of the year for a Browns fan. I'm allowed to have as much optimism and hope as possible until halftime of week 1. And when reality sets in, and the Browns season is basically over, and it's the first round of the Amex.
Well, I will say, the Cleveland Browns, I think they have a top 5 uniform in the NFL. So you guys got that going for you. I will say, I think their white uniforms, the orange stripes, I think it looks really good. It looks really clean. So got that going for you.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm excited. I hope that they can get it done. I love rooting for them. And I'm excited that the fans, they're a loyal and gritty bunch, great fans, great support from Browns fans. You don't meet many Browns fans that are real jerks. I feel like you meet a lot of good people that are Browns fans, And
They
I'm
get
proud of that.
humbled. They get humbled 6 months a year. So
That's right. That's right.
It keeps them honest.
And they live in the snow and the cold, and it's tough. It's tough life being a Browns fan. I know this is a pro football show, so we're not going to talk about how most of us root for Ohio State. I know those words are usually edited out of these.
Hey, y'all just got number 1 in the AP poll, preseason AP poll. So there you go. Add that banner to the rafters.
Maybe somebody will. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jeff, we appreciate you coming on, talking some AFC North, some Browns, some golf. Good luck when you guys get back out on the course for your fall schedule in a couple weeks. We'll be following along, and hopefully the Browns can do something, put it together. But, anything between 4 or 5, 10 wins, like, I could see it happening. So
me too. And it could. I hope the coaching staff is ready for it because we have some playmakers. Let's see how it goes.
Appreciate you coming on.
See you guys.
All right. That was Jeff Hamley, caddy for Andrew Novak on the PGA Tour and Cleveland Browns fan. He has a lot of optimism this time of year. He normally does, but like he said, once week 1 starts, that optimism will start to go downhill. All right, let's get into the AFC North. We're gonna talk some real life football, and then we'll get into fantasy. We're gonna start with the Bengals. The Bengals, their AFC North odds are plus 184. Super Bowl odds are 2,200. That is 22-1. Big free agent signing. Not free agent, trade from the Giants. They grabbed Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle, help bolster that defense. A lot of the people they brought in, really, they're trying to make this defense better than what it was. Boy Mafe, Brian Cook, Jonathan Allen, Kyle Duggar. They do lose Trey Hendrickson. He goes to the Ravens. They lose Joseph Asai, goes to the Jets. Noah Fant, tight end, goes to the Saints. Give me your feelings on the Bengals for the year.
Yeah, some big signings. Obviously, they've recognized that the defense is an issue, and it has been. I mean, they've got so much money tied up in the offense. I feel like that is, a bit of how it's going to be. But they're also having to mask a poor coordinator, a poor coach on that side of the ball. And if you don't have the players to do that, then it's just not going to go well. I like the Dexter Lawrence signing. He did not look good last year. Hopefully this gives him kind of a second wind, and he looks a little bit more like his older self. Jonathan Allen, solid signing along the defensive line. So I think these signings will help, but at the end of the day, I'm not very high on their defensive coordinator. I think Al Golden is not NFL level as a coordinator, and they're just having to mask that basically, by trying to make some signings to give them a little help.
So their defense last year ranked number 31. They were giving up almost 400 yards a game, just absolutely terrible. I don't think their defense has to be great. I think if they can produce like a top 20 defense, like even like 17, 18, 19, like then with that offense, like the Bengals are looking good. Going through their schedule, their over-under is 9.5. I got them going 11-6, but last year we had them doing a good record too, and everything fell apart. But it's really starting to get to like the Bengals got to start doing something. Joe Burrow's getting closer to the end of that contract. Like, is he going to want to stay there for the next contract? I mean, it's really time for the Bengals to get back into the playoffs and make a deep run.
Yeah, I like what they've done in this offseason. I think I think the offensive line is getting to where it needs to be. So hopefully they can keep Burrow upright. As long as they stay healthy, like this schedule is very favorable for them. So I agree. I could see them getting over that 9.5 pretty easily as long as they can stay healthy on that offensive side of the ball. Even if the defense loses them a few games, the offense is going to offset that by winning them a few games that, where the defense is struggling.
Steelers. AFC North odds plus 510, Super Bowl odds plus 5,000. That is 50-1. Coaching staff, they got reworked. You got Mike McCarthy coming in. He is going to be doing the play calling on the offensive side. Defensive coordinator, you got Patrick Graham. Let's take a look at some of these signings. They had Jamel Dean, cornerback. Michael Pittman Jr. is the big name there, wide receiver. They bring in Rico Dowdle, who's coming. He's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard years. And you add Jaquan Brisker, another DB. They lose Gainwell. He goes to the Bucks. They lose Jonnu Smith. Not a ton of losses for Pittsburgh. Their over-under on the season is at 8.5. That is what it is pretty much every single year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you think Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy, and this team produces this year?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the offense. Uh, obviously these guys running it back had a ton of success, but this is just not the same Aaron Rodgers. I think the offensive line is at least finally on the uptick. I think they have uh, some pieces there, so they'll be allowed to do some things. They're still kind of tight end heavy in this offense, so I think they'll be able to run the ball. They can go heavy set. They have some talent there. Uh, it's still kind of weird to me that DK Metcalf's there. Like, I like the player, but Aaron Rodgers just doesn't have the deep ball like he did. I don't think the arm strength is there, so that doesn't mesh very well there. But Pittman at least, can work some of the underneath stuff, which hopefully could open up some stuff deep, maybe for DK. So I think there is a nice pairing of those two wide receivers. I think they can kind of feed off each other. So that at least makes some sense. And then I like what they've done on the defensive side of the ball. I think as long as they can get this Joey Porter Jr. contract situation sorted out, there's like kind of a holdout situation there going on. I'm not fully sure how that's going to settle, but if they can get that sorted out, this could be a very solid cornerback room. I could see this defense being, especially the secondary, being pretty solid.
On paper, their defense, when you look at the names, is stout. But again, they're spending the most money on defense out of any team in the NFL for I don't know how many years in a row it is now. Mike McCarthy always produces good offenses. I do think their offense is going to be pretty decent this year. It's just I need to see their defense play well for the amount of money that they are spending on defense. Most teams are starting to spend more on offense and go that way. The Steelers are not doing that. It's funny, you mentioned that Aaron Rodgers, his deep ball is not working anymore, but last year he also had the longest throw out of any quarterback in the NFL. It was like 70 yards. So he can do it, but he's just not doing it.
I mean, what was it? A few years ago, PJ Walker had like the longest air yards completion ever for the Carolina Panthers at like end of the game in that Falcons game. Like, that doesn't mean he's a good deep ball. Like,
no,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
or the relevant stat
he can do it. He can do it. I guess he has some strength in the arm, but he was not taking the deep ball shots like you might have thought he would with having DK Metcalf on the team last year. He's just, for whatever reason, his ADOT was crazy low last year. He just kept taking the checkdowns to the running backs. I don't know if he didn't trust the offensive line to give him the protection, didn't want to get hit because he's 42 years old or whatever. Whatever it is, he just was not throwing it downfield. And if he's not throwing it downfield, that's just, and DK is kind of being wasted a bit.
All right, let's get over into the Cleveland Browns. We spent a while talking about them, but let's get into the details. AFC North odds plus 2,100, Super Bowl odds plus 20,000. That is 200 to 1. So we just mentioned this with Jeff, but Todd Monken, head coach, he's going to be calling the plays. He brings Travis Switzer in to be the OC. That was the Ravens run game coordinator, and the defensive coordinator is Mike Ruttenberg. They had Zion Johnson, guard. They had Elgin Jenkins, offensive line. Their offensive line, they had some issues towards the end of last year. I don't know if it's like 4 or 5 of them were like questionable to come back, so they had to rework that offensive line a little bit. They get Jared Verse, and they obviously lose Myles Garrett. So we play this game every year. We're gonna play this game right now. It is called the Deshaun Watson cap hit game. I'm going to give Andrew Deshaun Watson or another player, and he is going to tell me who has a higher cap hit this season. We know Deshaun Watson had that crazy contract, fully guaranteed money. So let's get into it. Who has a higher cap hit this season? Is it Deshaun Watson or Dak Prescott?
Oh, man. Dak's got the higher contract, but it may be backloaded. I can't remember. I'll go Deshaun.
Dak has a higher cap hit. It's just higher, not much. Yeah.
Is it backloaded though, Dak's, or no?
So next year turns really bad for Dak again.
Okay.
This year,
so it's like just progressively getting worse.
Yeah, yeah. So okay. It's close, but Dak's is just higher. All right, we are gonna go Deshaun Watson or Joe Burrow.
I'm gonna say Deshaun because I feel like the Bengals are paying some people.
Deshaun does have a higher cap hit than Joe Burrow.
That's terrible.
Okay. This is a fun one. Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes?
Didn't Mahomes just restructure? He just
He did.
I have no idea. I don't follow any of this stuff. This is all you. I'll go Deshaun,
Deshaun
just
has a
because that
higher
would be
cap hit
awful. Oh
than
my
Patrick
gosh,
Mahomes. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is the 11th highest cap hit for QBs this year.
that's terrible. Well, good for the Chiefs, but terrible for the Browns.
Let's go two more. Let's do Deshaun Watson or Justin Herbert.
Justin, when did he sign that extension? I'll just go Deshaun. Why not? Let's just keep running it.
Justin Herbert does have a higher cap hit. Justin Herbert is going to be the second highest cap hit this season. One more. Let's
That's
do
not good.
Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's been like wanting a new deal, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Sean then.
Deshaun is a higher cap hit than Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson is the 5th highest paid quarterback in the league this year, taking up almost 14% of his team's salary cap. That's wild. I mean,
who's number one?
Number one is Stafford. Stafford's got he got his new deal. Stafford's taken up 16% of the cap hit. That's a lot, but he's also deserving of it. It goes Stafford, Herbert, Allen, Dak, Deshaun, and then Baker is actually right behind Deshaun. Baker's taken a massive cap hit this year. So over under for the season on the Browns, 5.5. I mean, it could be anything. What do you think? How do you think the season goes for the Browns?
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with Jeff here on this. This coaching staff is, very new to this. Jeff has been very vocal to me about not being happy when the head coach calls plays. Stefanski, I think, had kind of struggled with some of that, like calling plays, giving it up, then not trusting the guys, taking it back, and there was all that flip-flopping, and it just kind of got in the way of the whole procedure. I do like Todd Monken as a play caller. I think he's a very good play caller. I think he'll fit this team decently well. I think he's going to get the most out of some of the weapons they have. I think some of the guys they've drafted fit. I could see Casey Concepcion doing some things that Zay Flowers was doing. He knows how to use tight ends, so Harold Fan is going to get used and stuff. I think that they will fit the offense. I'm just not sure that the quarterback play is going to be up to where it needs to be. Losing Myles Garrett is going to be obviously a hit for this defense. Like, I don't hate the coaching staff, but I think they're young, and I don't think the team is quite there yet. So I think like 5 wins is fair.
Let's get over into the Ravens. The Ravens, AFC North odds -110. They are the favorite to take this division. The Super Bowl odds plus 1,100. That is 11-1. New head coach, Jesse Minter. He was the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. He comes over to the Ravens. Offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle. This is the first real coaching tree guy we've seen come from Ben Johnson. So he was just with the Bears OC under Ben Johnson. He's now coming to the Ravens. I think that's going to be everything this year for the Ravens. How good is Declan Doyle? If he's great, he could be a head coach in waiting. And if not, then I guess the Ben Johnson tree is still going to be in question as it's just starting. A lot of moving pieces here. We said Trey Hendrickson, John Simpson, guard coming in, Jalen Hawkins, safety, Awuzie, cornerback. They lose Linderbaum. That was a massive loss. He was the center. He goes over to the Raiders. Isaiah Likely goes to the Giants. Charlie Kohler, blocking tight end, goes to the Chargers. Keaton Mitchell, running back, goes to the Chargers. Alohi Gilman, safety, goes to the Chiefs. So new coaching staff, a ton of moving pieces, but Vegas really likes Ravens this year. Over under 11.5 wins. Give me your thoughts on the Ravens.
Yeah, I think some of that is the schedule is quite nice this year for the Ravens. Kind of across the board for AFC North. I think the AFC North drew a pretty favorable schedule draw, like with the other divisions. But look, this is some younger coaches coming in, but Minter's a proven guy. I think there is something to be said for these younger defensive coordinators coming in as head coaches early. We saw like Mike McDonald pay off really well for the Seahawks. And if Doyle hits on the offensive side and can do his thing there, I think Minter can hopefully clean up this defense. Because look, the Ravens have had down year, but really the last couple of years, the defense has been what's been killing them. The offense has actually been, maybe not up to their standard, but functional. The defense just has fallen off heavily. So I think he's been brought in to square that up. And I think this, I think he's gonna fix the defense. I think the biggest thing for the Ravens is going to be this offense. I think it's going to look a decent bit different because, they lose Ricard, they lose Charlie Kohler. Like I don't think it'll be as heavy set as maybe what it was in the past. I still think Derrick Henry's going to get his because you lose Keaton Mitchell out of the backfield. Like I don't think Justice Hill is like pretty clear. He's like the third down back. He's the passing down back. Like as far as like first and second down, like I don't think you're going to be seeing like 22 set anymore. Like they don't really have a fullback anymore. They don't have the tight ends that they had. They lose Likely and Kohler. So really, like they have Mark Andrews. They drafted drafted two tight ends.
They drafted two tight ends fairly.
They got a kid out
later in the
of SMU.
draft.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got a kid out of SMU that I kind of like. I wouldn't call him like a big blocking tight end though. He's kind of athletic. So again, I don't think they're going to be nearly as heavy set as what they were, where it was just like truly, I form and pound Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry's still going to get the ball a lot, but I think it's going to look a little bit different than what it did. So I'll be interested to see kind of how this offense functions because it's definitely going to be systematically quite different, I think.
Absolutely. I think it just all comes down to Declan Doyle. Like, let's see what he can do on offense there. All right, let's get into fantasy. We're going to get back to the Bengals, and we're going to do some fantasy. A lot of pieces to like here. Give me your favorites. Give me where you're trying to get some.
Yeah, Cincinnati is like about as good as it gets for a fantasy. You've got an easy schedule, a great offense, and a bad defense. That's pretty much what you want. Like you want shootouts, and that's what you're going to get here. I think if this offensive line can hopefully take a little bit of a step forward to be pretty much like an average offensive line in the NFL, keep Joe Burrow upright. There's no reason that everybody can't pay off. Like Jamar being crazy elite freak, T Higgins still getting his like 10 touchdowns, whatever. And Chase Brown, I could still see paying off through his passing game work as well. And just he's going to get decent volume because there's not much else in this running back room. So as long as all those guys are staying healthy, like I think everybody at their values is great picks. I like Jamar Chase as the number one wide receiver this year in the draft, just because the schedule, because of how this, all of this environment is just going to be creating so many fantasy points for this offense. So yeah, I've got Chase over Puka this year. I've got him over JSN. So Chase, I want a part of the Bengals for sure.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of T Higgins too. He's going at wide receiver number 14. Last year, he finished at wide receiver number 15. I think he's a pretty safe play, going to finish somewhere between 10 and 20 in the wide receiver market. I think Chase Brown is a pretty safe play too. He's going at running back number 10. I believe the last 2 years he finished at running back 7. So barring injury, like he is going to get a ton of volume. He's going to get work. He's going to finish somewhere in that range. Everyone on this team that I'm looking at, they seem appropriately priced and they seem safe. Joe Burrow should play 16, 17 games this year. If he does, he should be quarterback 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so this is definitely an offense that I would not be scared to get a part of. Steelers fantasy. The big question here, I think, is DK Metcalf with the deep ball with Aaron Rodgers. DK Metcalf is going at wide receiver number 32. Last year, he finished at wide receiver number 26, and that was with missing the last 2 games, so you could assume he would have finished a little higher had he not been suspended. They bring in Michael Pittman. Now, Michael Pittman, we've been talking about this. You think he works a little better for what Aaron Rodgers is working with right now. Who do you like in that wide receiver room? Metcalf, Pittman with the value. Michael Pittman is going at wide receiver 42. DK Metcalf is going at wide receiver 32.
Yeah, I think full PPR formats, I'm liking Pittman maybe a little bit more. I think he's going to work a lot of like underneath into the intermediate areas. And I think that's a part of the field that they're going to be looking to attack. Metcalf will get his. I'm sure he'll get some, but I think Pittman is going to lead this team in targets here. The biggest question for me in this offense is the Kenneth Gainwell role. Like, because of how much Aaron Rodgers was peppering the running back last year, like, is there another running back that's going to get that, or is the system going to change so much that he's not going to be throwing to the running backs as much? Like, if he's going to throw the running back 60 to 80 times, like, I mean, if your running back who's going to be catching the ball is getting 5+ targets a game, say like 5, 6 targets a game, like that could be crazy value. But I don't know if that'd be a Jalen Warren role. I don't know if that's one of the guys that they just picked up. I have no idea who ends up in that role, but I do think that there is some hidden value there if that is something that Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to do. You could kind of end up with a nice floor play at running back in an offense that, nobody's crazy excited to be grabbing running backs out of.
The market doesn't really know either. Jalen Warren is going at running back 27. Rico Dowdle is going at running back 32. Last year, they both finished around there. Dowdle finished at running back 18. Warren finished at running back 17. I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing, like where this is Warren's week, this is Dowdle's week, this is Warren's week, this is Dowdle's week. So you kind of got to predict it properly. But Rico is coming off, back-to-back 1,000-yard years. So I am fairly high on him. And when you look at their contracts too, they basically have the same exact contract. Warren and Dowdle are both on 2-year, $12 million deals. So Vegas, fantasy, the market, they are all saying we don't know which guy's going to be the guy. It's probably going to be pretty equivalent by year's end. All right, Cleveland Browns, fantasy. I will say the Cleveland Browns right now, their offensive line is ranked 30th. So when I look at Quinshon Judkins, I really like him as a player, but when you got a team that's losing games and the offensive line is ranked 30, like I just don't know how successful Judkins can be in this offense. Like when I looked at his games last year, he's got a very high floor and a very low ceiling. It's like if you start him, like he'll put up 10 points, but like he won't put up 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And while in actual football, I do like Todd Monken as a play caller. He is a slower tempo kind of coach, so which is good for the Browns. I think it can help them try and lean into the defense, make some games a little uglier, make them a little muddier. Which I do think could help Judkins. I think they'll stick to the run a little bit longer than maybe some teams. Like I think they will try to stick to it, but I just don't see this team running a ton of plays a game because I think they will be slower tempo. Outside of Harold Fannin, like the wide receiver room's a bit of like a dart throw. I do like the rookies, but and I think late in the draft is fine to throw a little dart there. Concepcion's got some juice to him. Boston would be a good touchdown guy. I just don't know how many touchdowns this offense is going to score. If this was a good offense, I could see Boston being like kind of a double-digit touchdown kind of guy because he's just that bigger body. In the red zone, they're going to want to go to him, but I just don't have enough faith in this offense to be drafting him as like a guy I'm expecting to get, double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be drafting any of the wide receivers out of this team, but like if I could take a dart throw at one, I would say it's Casey Concepcion. Just based on the week 1 preseason game, it seems like they're going to use him in a lot of different ways. He might be, I'm going to look at his rushing total for the first couple weeks because it seems like he's going to get an end around or two. And I want to see what his rushing totals are in the first couple weeks. If it's only like a yard or two, I'm going to be taking over on Casey Concepcion. Some running totals early until maybe that adjusts, but I think he could be a guy who's getting a lot of touches multiple different ways. But again, probably a room you want to stay away from. Let's get into the Ravens. Last team here for fantasy in the AFC North. Derrick Henry, he's going at running back number 12. Lamar Jackson is going at quarterback number 2. When we go through the wide receiver room, there is a lot of different pieces in the wide receiver room. Zay Flowers had his best year ever last year, finishing at wide receiver 7. Jacoby Lane's been doing great things in camp, in preseason. Seems like a guy who could be catching a lot of touchdowns. What do you like on this team?
I think that this wide receiver room is getting closer to where you want it to be. Like obviously Zay Flowers took that step last year. I think that Bateman is a solid like wide receiver. It sounds like they're going to allow him to do a little bit more this year. Bateman has been very much like a static X receiver, has not moved around the field much. He's been like kind of just your outside guy, and it hasn't allowed him to work in different parts of the field. So kind of excited for him. And then obviously Jacoby Lane has been a crazy hyped up player out of camp. He's been making highlight reel catches and big, he's a big body, touchdown catches, stuff like that. So there's definitely some excitement in this pass catching group. I just don't know what this offense is going to look like. Like I really want to get on Derrick Henry because he has, fallen behind some of these, hyped up names that are maybe a little less proven, but this is like potentially going to be a very good offense with a bad schedule. Henry was great last year, and that was in like pretty much worst case scenario where Lamar Jackson got hurt and they had a ton of bad game scripts because they were they were actually losing games, which I don't expect the Ravens to be losing many games this year. So it should be a great position for Henry, but I'm concerned with losing Ricard, some of their blocking options, like, Linderbaum out. Like, it's just a little scary for me because I don't know what this run game is going to look like. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work for Derrick Henry, but it's not quite as, continuous as what it's been. And so I'm a little concerned there, but like, I feel like everything on the outside does look like it should be good for this run game because the game scripts are going to be nice.
Yeah, so Henry's going at running back 12. His last 4 years in fantasy, he finished at number 8, number 4, number 8, number 4. When you look at the rest of the running back room, we mentioned Justice Hill. That's about it. So I do think Derrick
Yeah.
Henry is going to get the ball just as same amount as he always was. I think 12 Derrick Henry is good value. Like, I still expect him to finish top 10 in the running back fantasy market. How old do you think Mark Andrews is?
Mark Andrews played with Baker in Oklahoma, so probably came out for 4 years. So he's probably like 31.
He's 30. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he is younger than I thought. In my head, it feels like he's older than he is. Like last year, he had some weird games where he just like didn't get the ball at all. But with some of the other tight ends gone, Kohler gone, likely gone, I think this is a good bounce back year for Mark Andrews. He's going at tight end number 17. I don't think he's going to finish top 5 in tight ends like he has before, but I could see him finishing around tight end number 10. I think he's going to get the ball. Good bounce back year for Andrews.
This is, and I was just talking about a minute ago, Todd Monken being a slower tempoed offensive coordinator. If Doyle is, falling in line with more of this Detroit thing, it will be a tempo up from what it's been. So you could be seeing, a few more plays than what they've been running past couple of years. So.
All right, let's get over into the AFC South. We're going to talk some real life football, and then we'll get to fantasy. We're going to start with the Colts. The Colts, their AFC South odds are plus 380, and their Super Bowl odds are plus 6,000. That is 60-1. Shane Steichen is going into his 4th year as head coach. They got a lot of continuity here. Same offensive coordinator, 4th season. Same DC, 2nd season. Big news, well, not big news, but some news. Keenan Allen, he signs with the Colts on a 1-year deal. They add some other defensive pieces, a couple defensive ends, so safety, a cornerback. They lose Michael Pittman Jr. They lose Zaire Franklin, Kwity Paye, Brandon Smith, Nick Cross. So they lose some pieces on the defensive end, but a lot of continuity here with the Colts. Big question is going to be, is Daniel Jones healthy? Is his play up to par? They're over-under on the year, 7.5. I got to say, just like, that feels low for the Colts. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, they were off to a crazy start last year and then it fell apart. So maybe they're, maybe the public's just kind of remembering the back half of the year. I think the Colts, we talked about it a lot last year, were just like set up with this weird schedule where they just played like nobody for the first 8 or 9 weeks and then played like a brutal finish to the schedule. Now they also had some injuries on top of that. But it was kind of a weird way for their schedule to be set up. I think that's probably reasonable for this team. I think like defensively, I don't think it's anything crazy. I do think the offensive line is like pretty decent and they'll be functional on the offensive side of the ball, like with running the ball, and they have a few guys they could spit it out to. I'm not really sold on this Keenan signing being anything huge, but I think Downs and Warren are solid pass catchers, and Pierce, that is concerning. I don't know what his deal is, but I think in a couple of years this defense will be there. I really like what they did in the draft. C.J. Allen out of Georgia, great football player. Halsey out of LSU, playmaker. Betcher, Caden Curry later in the draft. Like, these are solid players. These are players that I actually like quite a bit. But I just don't know if they're going to be counted on immediately. So I think that is a pretty fair number for the Colts. I just, quarterback coming off an Achilles has not been, it's not been a great track record of quarterbacks coming off an Achilles and being super efficient. So I think this team is going to have to lean on the run game, and I just don't know if the defense is going to be where it needs to be to win some games ugly.
Let's move over into the Texans. Their odds to win the AFC South, plus 110, that leads the division. Super Bowl odds, plus 1,800, 18-1. A lot of continuity here, too. Same head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They tried to fix this offensive line. They bring in Wyatt Teller, offensive guard. They bring in Braden Smith, offensive tackle. They also use their first-round pick on a guard, Rutledge, guy out of Georgia Tech. That was the big thing with the Texans last year. Their defense was all-time, like one of the best defenses we've seen. C.J. Stroud really struggled, but part of that was due to the offensive line. They released Joe Mixon. That guy is pretty much done with the NFL forever. One of the weird stories nobody talks about. I think people say he shot himself in the foot. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, his NFL career seems to be done. Christian Kirk goes to the 49ers. They lose Danico Autry. Their over-under on the season is 9.5. This is just going to be a defensive-led team. I could see their defense like just winning them almost. I could see them, if they put up 14 points in a game, there's a good chance that they're going to win the game. What do you think about the Texans?
Yeah, this defense is really good, and that's what they're going to have to lean on. I think that we may see like a little bit of a schematic change on the offensive side of the ball. They went out, they re-signed 2 of their offensive linemen, they signed 3 more free agent offensive linemen, and then drafted 2 offensive linemen. So they added 5 new guys and kept 2 of their own. So, I mean, 7 different, well, I guess 5 new guys coming in, but 7 total signings for this offensive line. So they are really trying everything to get this thing sorted out. You go out and get a David Montgomery, a guy that I think they feel confident they can turn around and hand the ball off to 20 times a game if they have to. And I think they're going to just try and possess the ball, keep the game in front of them, let their defense work, try not put C.J. Stroud in positions where he can, ruin the game for him. Hopefully he's not turning the ball over at a high rate, because if Stroud doesn't turn the ball over, like if the other team has to go the full field, like you got to like your chances of stopping them somewhere along the way. The defense is going to cause some havoc. So I think that with getting David Montgomery, with hopefully trying to improve this offensive line, they're just putting themselves in a position to play it a little safer on the offensive side. Obviously, that could set up some play action shots to Nico Collins and stuff, but I think it will be a little bit more run heavy this year, slow down the pace, and win ugly. And that's really how this team is built.
When I look at their schedule, they are a team that no matter who they play on a given week, like I could see them winning any game. I think they're just like a huge question mark for every team that comes and plays them. Like Bills first week, like with that defense, I got them beating the Bills. But then they're playing the Bengals the next week, and like I got them losing to the Bengals. Like I don't know if they can keep up offensively with the Bengals. So like any given week, I can see them beating any good team, but also, if a team goes and puts up a strong 28, 30 points on them, I don't know if they can do that and hang with them.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's down on Stroud too because of how bad he's looked, but this is sort of it's contract year for him. They haven't really picked up or maybe they picked up his option, but he doesn't have an extension yet. So he is kind of playing for, his future at this point. So if there was a time for him to step up, it would be this year. It just seems like everybody's so down on him because of how poor he's been.
All right, let's go to the Titans. Their AFC South odds are plus 800, Super Bowl odds plus 14,140 to 1. New head coach, Robert Saleh. New OC, Brian Dable. And the DC is Gus Bradley. Robert Saleh will be calling the plays, though. They bring in Wan'Dale Robinson. They give him a lot of money. 4 years, $78 million. They bring in John Franklin Myers. They almost did what the Raiders did a little bit. They were just throwing everyone some money. They bring in John Franklin Myers, 3 years, 63 mil. Alontae Taylor, cornerback, 3 years, 60 mil. Cordell Flott, cornerback, 3 year, 45 mil. And then little signing, Mitchell Trubisky, 2 years, $11 million. So pretty decently paid backup there for Cam Ward. Their over-under on the season is 6.5. They're trying to do things right in Tennessee. They got a new coaching staff. They're trying to put pieces together, but man, like I'm struggling to find wins on the schedule for the Titans. How about you?
Yeah, I don't think the offensive line is there yet, and that's not really going to help Cam Ward. Cam's the kind of guy that's always going to want to try and do something. He's just a competitor like that. But
number 32 ranked offensive line,
yeah,
so worst in the league.
When you're maybe trying to do a lot and your offensive line is doing very little, you're going to kind of set yourself up for some tough ones. I do think that they've put some decent weapons around him at least, so that is kind of in place. But they're going to have to address this offensive line before I think that this offense is going to really take off. I do think Cam Ward took some steps forward at the end of last year. He flashes at times, but with Cam Ward, you are going to have the disaster plays. That's just kind of how it is. The hope is that the good ones outweigh the bad, and if there's guys in his lap after a second and a half every play, you're probably going to see more of the bad than the good. So I know a lot of people are kind of on the Titans as a sleeper team. I am kind of a homer, being a Miami fan, Miami Hurricanes fan, and I do believe in Cam, but I still think it's too early for this team. I think Daboll will do a good job getting the most out of Cam. I think this is another year, another situation where I think they start slower and could finish more with a kind of stronger finish as maybe Cam gets comfortable with the offense, as the team kind of starts to gel, as some of these younger playmakers get settled in. But yeah, I could see the Titans, another poor year for them, just because I think there are some pretty glaring holes with this team.
I like the coaching staff a lot, and I do think that the
agree,
coaching staff is going to keep them in games. I could see them. I got them going 5-12. I got them losing a lot of games, but I could see them losing a lot of one-score games where like the roster's not there yet, but the coaching staff keeps them in them. A team that covers a lot of games potentially. They win 5 games, and then next year you're like, all right, the pieces are starting to get put together. Maybe they can start getting to 8, 9, 10 wins, but I just, like you just said, I think there's too many holes on this team to really find a lot of W's. All right, let's get into the last team in this division, the Jaguars. AFC South odds plus 245, Super Bowl odds plus 3,000. That is 30-1. Liam Cohen, head coach. This team, they didn't do a whole lot. They brought in Chris Rodriguez, running back, and they lose a couple pieces. They lose Travis Etienne to the Saints, Devin Lloyd to your Panthers, Greg Newsome to the Giants, Wingard to the Cardinals, Diami Brown, wide receiver, to the Commanders. So they didn't add a lot. They kind of lost a few pieces. We both were not fans of their draft. Nate Borkirker in the second round, tight end. They had a couple third round picks, but to me, I really like Liam Cohen. I like what he did last year. I'm still high on the Jags. I just don't think their roster got any better and actually maybe got potentially worse a little bit.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team in the NFL so committed to continuity, to the point where they truly they signed basically one guy, and that's Chris Rodriguez, and he played running back at Kentucky for Liam Cohen. So that's kind of continuity there because he's already worked with him. He's been in the system. Like basically, they had a couple guys walk. They basically decided, hey, we're just not going to draft anybody that's going to play for us, so we can stay the exact same, because these guys are, not really going to come in and fill in for us. But then I turn around and look at how they finished the year, and I'm kind of like, well, I get it, because what they did the last, 2 months of the season was very impressive. I mean, they pretty much just dominated everybody. The offense was clicking at a crazy rate. And like, I don't really blame them. Like, you want to keep it, you want to keep that rolling because they were on a crazy run. So while I do think it's silly that they didn't do anything, like, also it's hard to blame them because they absolutely had it going. And, with what this coaching staff has done, like, I really don't see any reason why they're not going to win this division again, because they already proved last year they have what they need, and they kept. I don't think any of their losses were significant enough where it's going to, inhibit them from being able to, kind of keep it rolling.
They have one of the weirdest quirks in the schedule that I have seen out of anyone. So from week 4 through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So week 4 through 11, they have one actual home game. So if you are a Jaguars fan and you live in the Jaguars area, you just have no home games to go to. Listen to this. At Bengals, and then you get 2 games over in Europe, Tottenham Stadium and Wembley Stadium. Then you have a bye. Then you get your one home game, Colts versus Jaguars, and then you're on the road for 3 straight weeks at Ravens, at Titans, at Giants. So for the good portion of your middle of your season, they're just not going to have any home games. I guess their overseas games technically are home, but It's just an interesting quirk that for 2 months straight they have one game in Everbank Stadium.
The stadium is under construction right now. Like
Oh, that is
literally,
a good point. Yeah.
as they are playing games, they are literally building like around the stadium stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. I
know
forgot
if
about that.
I don't know if some of that was intentional for that. Obviously, the London games are something that the Jags have always done, or done at least since they've been put in. But I do know they are doing construction on the stadium, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe they blocked like a part of the season where it's like, hey, we're gonna have something done at this time. But yeah, that is definitely kind of crazy for the Jacksonville locals.
That is a good note there. I didn't think about that. So AFC South, do you think the Jaguars are winning again? I have the Texans winning this division at 11-6. You think the Jags take it again?
I think the Jags take it. I still got a few too many questions with Houston, specifically on the offensive line side. Like I'm gonna have to see it from CJ Stroud. I think that defense is gonna be crazy, but I really just think the Jaguars are a solid football team. They lost a few pieces, but like I think everything they lost is like replaceable. Uh, I think the defense could, be quite good. Like Travis Hunter staying healthy, being maybe a little bit more defense. I think he will play some snaps on offense, but being maybe a little bit more defensive focused could be really good for the defense there as far as playmaking side, and that defensive line is pretty solid. So yeah, I think the Jaguars are probably the most complete team here, especially with what I expect to see from that offense, and I got a lot of faith in that coaching staff.
All right, let's get over to fantasy football for the AFC South. We're going to start with the Colts. They have the best ranked O-line in this division. Their O-line is ranked number 14. Jonathan Taylor, he is going at running back number 4. He started crazy to last year. Do you think that's going to continue again?
But where are you getting your offensive line rankings from? Is it just
Uh,
PFF or is it?
That is a good question. I don't use PFF anymore. No,
Okay,
so
just out
definitely
of
not
curiosity.
PFF.
Okay. Anyway,
No, I do not look at. I stopped using that. That man, they are
they're
off.
killing you.
Yeah. Once PFF sold out, yeah, that was it. Jonathan
Anyway,
Taylor is going at running back number 4.
I do like Jonathan Taylor this year. I think obviously the schedule set up in a way last year where like they had some great game scripts and he was going nuts against a little bit softer part of the schedule. But still, I think that they will lean on him this year. He has basically no competition in that backfield. If Daniel Jones' Achilles is an issue with him driving the ball downfield, then you see more dump offs. So you could see some checkdowns to Jonathan Taylor, some passing game work, which is not something that's always been a big part of his game, but it would be a nice addition. It is a little bit weird where like Alec Pierce is kind of the only downfield guy on this team. And if he's hurt and not playing, because nobody really knows what is going on with this guy's ankle, foot, whatever, it is like a very odd situation. They have Josh Downs, Keenan Allen, Tyler Warren. Like these are not like downfield guys. So I don't know what this offense is going to kind of look like because it is a little bit weird that everybody just works the same part of the field. But I still see this team running the ball a lot. I think Jonathan Taylor is the guy that I probably like the most in this offense, even at value. I was kind of high on Josh Downs, but this Keenan Allen signing is just not ideal for that. Keenan Allen, while a decent football player, is absolutely a fantasy football vulture. He pretty much, ruined Ladd last year, signing with the Chargers, and I don't think it's going to bode well for Josh Downs getting the volume that I was hoping.
Tyler Warren, he finished at tight end number 4 last year. He's currently going at tight end number 4, and I think he's a little I think he'll finish right around there, but in fantasy drafts, he's going in like round 4, round 5. I've even seen some drafts. If you can get him in the late round 4, round 5, like I really like Tyler Warren this year. Last year he put up 188 fantasy points. He was going off like weekly before Daniel Jones got hurt. Once Daniel Jones got hurt, he kind of fell off. He was putting up 3, 4, 5 fantasy points. If Daniel Jones is back, plays a full season, I expect Tyler Warren to go over 200 fantasy points. Definitely someone in at least one of my drafts I'm going to be trying to get. You like Tyler Warren this year?
I like the player, but it's tough for me because he's the tight end 4, and it's such a clear tier break from those top 3 to me. Like McBride, Bowers, and Loveland. Like you can even tier it like McBride and Bowers top tier and Loveland below him, but like it's such a clear tier break to me. Like if you draft Warren at tight end 4, like he has to beat the rest to kind of pay that off, because I don't see, barring injuries, I don't see the other tight ends like really creeping up into that top group from
Right.
what I'm
Yeah. I
expecting to
mean,
see. So
Bowers and
it's kind of like one of those, like, okay, I could take Warren, or I could wait a bit and take Kraft, or I could wait a bit and take like another tight end that's kind of in this, like, they're good tight ends, but they're all kind of just like in a clump together there. And so if I'm not getting one of the top 3 guys, I might just kind of wait and see if I can grab one that falls from that kind of middle tier group.
yeah, so McBride and Bowers, they're both going round 1, round 2. Like by the time round 3 hits, they're gone. There's no shot. But if you can slip Warren like later, like 5th round, like I don't mind that. I just wouldn't reach
Yeah.
for Warren in round 2, 3, 4. If he can slip a little bit, I like that. Let's go into the Texans fantasy. Uh, David Montgomery comes in from Detroit. He's currently going at running back number 21. He, man, I don't know where Montgomery is going to finish. If he finished at running back 10 or if he finished at running back 30, I wouldn't be surprised. Where are you on Montgomery?
Yeah, I just feel like this is such a Tony Pollard pick from last year, where it's like he's gonna get the ball a ton, but like the the way you get, like, the most valuable fantasy points are like near the goal line, so your touchdowns and receiving. Like, in PPR, that's like the fastest way to get points. And I don't think he's gonna catch a ton of balls, and I don't know how many points this offense is actually gonna score. Like, yes, he would be the goal line back, but like I just don't know how much they're really gonna be there. So I feel like he's just gonna have a lot of empty touches where it's like, yeah, Montgomery's gonna like get 20 carries, but he's going to have 67 yards,
Yep.
and he'll have a catch for like 7 yards. And it's like, okay, well, he got the ball a ton, but he had 8 points.
Hmm.
Like, I could have had Kenneth Gainwell catch 5 balls for 30 yards. Like, I could have had the same thing, you know?
Yep.
Like, I feel like I don't hate the position just because he's going to get good value or good volume. But like this offensive line, I had Woody Marks on a couple teams last year, and it was just awful. Like, it was literally awful to watch him get the ball. They just run it up the middle. He'd get the ball and just run into the back of his center a yard in the backfield and fall down. Like, this offensive line was just not getting it done. Um, I think it's a volume play if you're going there. I don't know. It's not going to be fun to watch David Montgomery on your team if it's just going to be, running it up the gut like a ton of times, which I feel like it could end up being.
One value play I did find here in the Texans offense is Dalton Schultz. He's going at tight end number 24. Last year, he finished at tight end number 10. So if you missed your tight end window and you got to grab someone late, someone you could start there. I think the big thing, I know that you hate drafting defenses early, but the Texans defense last year put up 188 points. That is equivalent to the number 25 wide receiver. Now, where are you comfortable with somebody ripping Texans defense?
Yeah. Well, drafting a defense, like, you don't compare total points over across positions. You compare points across its own position. So 188 points is great. Like, you need to compare that across where other defense, like how much value are you
Right now,
gaining
the
on the next
Rams
best kind of
and
defense,
the
essentially.
Texans, the Rams and the
So,
Texans are the top 2 defenses who
right.
potentially could put up a lot of
And I
points.
do think that there is value to that. Like, yes, like the Houston Texans defense is valuable, but like, you're not going to win your fantasy football league because you chose the right defense. You are going to win your fantasy football league if you like grab Brian Robinson and Bijan gets hurt week 2 and you end up getting like a bottom tier wide receiver 1 or something crazy for no reason, like late in the draft. Like, that's just an example, but like, there's not going to be an injury. There's not like a high upside to grabbing a defense early. So as long as there's still players that can give me upside on the board, I'm gonna be going after players, and I'll wait on my defense. Yes, I'll be happy to have the Texans defense because I know it's going to pay off decently, but the upside is just, you're not going to get the same upside as drafting players.
I tend to agree with you. If they're available late, like obviously grab them, but I'm seeing people rip them way too early in drafts. I'm seeing people rip them in like round 8, 9, 10, and I don't agree with doing that, but yeah, I would love to have Texans defense on my team on a weekly basis, but I still don't believe in ripping them like crazy early or anything. Titans fantasy football. We talked about this already. Number 32 ranked O line. Not a ton of love here. Carnell Tate was picked early in the draft, but I think the Calvin Ridley thing scared me last year. He obviously did not perform. Terrible O line. A team that's just not going to be winning a lot of games. Is there anything at all on the Titans offense that you would possibly take a look at?
Yeah, I think there are some good game scripts for these pass catchers, but I'm not really sure how this room's going to fall because you have Carnell Tate, you still have Calvin Ridley, you have Wandale Robinson. They also still have Chim DK, who was a good player for them last year. I think they're going to want to, rotate Io Manor in there as well. So there are a lot of mouths to feed in an offense that I'm not sure is going to put up like a crazy amount of yards or touchdowns. So that makes it kind of hard to get to anybody there. I do just like the straight up talent level of Tyjae Spears. I feel like whenever I watch him, he's making dudes miss and he just looks really good. But I don't know like if the volume will be there for him to be like reliable enough. If they are down in games, he's going to catch the ball a few times. There's a lot of guys I kind of like as football players on this team, but I just don't know if there's like going to be enough significant volume to any single person that it really pays off. A name to watch. I don't know if it'll pay off this year or what. This could be kind of a dynasty thing. Gunnar Helm, the tight end. He was a rookie out of, I think, Texas last year. He looks like a good player to me. Anytime I was watching, Cam Ward, like this guy didn't play a ton, but he made some nice catches. They did get Daniel Bellinger, who's kind of like a day ball guy. So I don't know what that tight end split will look like. So that's what I'm saying. Like redraft, don't be grabbing him. But Gunnar Helm could be a name to kind of just keep in mind. See what he's doing the first couple weeks because he'd be available on waivers.
Tony Pollard for me this year is like a big stay away. Like how you mentioned, David Montgomery could get 20 touches, 67 yards, and a catch. Like with a 32 ranked O line, like I don't see Tony Pollard doing a whole lot either. 15, 16 carries, 35, 40 yards, a catch. Like it's not going to be doing a whole lot. So even way down there at running back 32, I don't see the upside for Tony Pollard. He's not going to have a high ceiling by any means. So somebody definitely I'm probably going to stay away from this year. Last team in the AFC South is the Jaguars. This team, their O line is actually they're struggling a little bit. And this running back room is a little confusing. Bashal Tutin seems to be the top running back here. They bring Chris Rodriguez in. I have no idea who is going to be. Chris Rodriguez is like the bigger body, but like you said, Bashal Tutin, like they'll put him in at the goal line. I think there's just too many question marks here to really grab either one of them. Bashal Tutin's going at running back number 25. What do you think about that running back room?
Yeah, this entire Jags offense is essentially a lottery ticket. Anytime you're taking a Jags player, you don't really know what you're getting, but it's absolutely a lottery ticket in an offense that probably will be pretty good. It may, it may go to everybody. It may go to a few guys, and you don't really know who that's going to be. I love the prospect of Tutin. Watching him in college, very fast, very dynamic. He kind of had a nose for the end zone last year at times, so I really like the player. I think he can catch the ball. I think he can do a lot of things. It's just, will they let him do a lot of things? If he gets good volume, I think Tutin pays his value comfortably. I just don't know if he will. Chris Rodriguez is a good bruiser of a running back. He's the kind of guy that could just spell fantasy nightmare for a guy like Tutin if Rodriguez is going to go in and score 10 touchdowns and just be like the goal line guy. They also have LaQuint Allen, who's kind of a pass catching back, which can also cause issues there. I'm not saying I'm not touching this running back room because I think, as a lottery ticket, I think like there is crazy value with this offense. But like there is certainly nothing that is, certain in taking one of these guys.
I do think Parker Washington is one of the better flex options in fantasy football this year. Currently, he's going at wide receiver number 35, slot guy. Cohen likes the slot guy. Mm-hmm. Parker Washington, check out his game log from last year. His last 9 games, 6 of those 9 games went over 17 points, and we started to see the Jaguars play really well at the end of the season. Parker Washington, wide receiver number 35. I could see him finishing in the 20s this year.
Yeah, I think this wide receiver room is kind of a bit of a dart throw as well. It's the same kind of thing. It's a lottery ticket. You got Jacoby Myers, you've got Brian Thomas Jr., you've got Parker Washington, and you've got Travis Hunter slubbing in potentially for some snaps. I feel the most confident in Parker Washington. I think his role to me is the most set in stone. Whereas like Travis Hunter, when he's going to be coming in, he's probably coming in more as an outside receiver, an X receiver, whatever. So I think you'd see, more of Brian Thomas coming off the field for that. Maybe some Jacoby Myers coming off the field. I feel like Parker, especially with all the hype he's been getting in training camp, seems to be, to me, like, the safest pick there. But there are a lot of mouths to feed here. So at value, I really do like Parker Washington now. I think the training camp hype is going to drive his value up pretty fast. And so I do think it could get to a point where I'm like, I may dart throw on one of the other guys, or I may just not worry about it and take, Trevor Lawrence instead and be like, whoever he throws to, I'll take the points.
Yeah. I think Parker Washington's going like round 6, 7, which to me seems fair, but he starts creeping up any higher than that, and it's probably a little too expensive. Brian Thomas Jr. is like the weird one, man. Like 2 years ago, finished at wide receiver 4. Last year, finished at wide receiver 42. What does he even that out this year and go wide receiver 20? Like, where do you see BTJ finishing?
Yeah, I think he is going to settle into your downfield role. I think when Travis Hunter comes off the field, I could see him coming off the field. So if his snaps are getting limited and he's already taking, the lower target volume routes, it's kind of tough there. It's more like he's kind of a best ball player to me, because he falls kind of in that category of like, he's going to have a game where he catches like a 70-yard bomb or a 60-yard bomb, and he's like going to blow up that game. But then, next game he might have one catch for like, 18 yards or so. I think it'll be a little bit more of an inconsistent role within this offense. I feel like there's a lot of risk in taking that kind of player when it's just not a high volume of targets.
All right, that was our AFC South fantasy guide there. Survivor pool, going to mention this again. $0 entry fee, $250 cash to the winner. Is a Screenplay podcast Survivor pool. It's our way of having you guys play along with us. The link is on our website on the screenplaypodcast.com. It is also on our Instagram bio at screenplay_podcast. Pick one team each week. Correct, move on. If wrong, you're out. No revives. $0 entry fee, $250 cash to the winner. Thank you to Jeff Hamley, Andrew's caddy and Browns fan, for coming on to talk some Browns football today. Next week, we'll be on to the NFC East and West. We'll have a very special guest, Henry Markin, at HS Markin on Instagram. Hilarious sports and football content. If you have not seen it, go check it out. He's got some great stuff, and he is a 49ers fan, so we are going to talk 49ers. We're going to talk Substation. We're going to talk all the good stuff. Please get on YouTube, like and subscribe at screenplay_podcast. Trying to get our subscriber numbers up on there. Please get on there and give us some love. We are on socials at screenplay_podcast, and you can check out our website, thescreenplaypodcast.com. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. Any last words, Andrew?
No, appreciate y'all listening. Enjoy the preseason games this week. I'm sure the hype will continue to build as the season's coming up.
All right. Appreciate all you guys listening. We see you guys next week for NFC East and West.